Let me tell you, there's a certain kind of day that just burns itself into your memory. Mine started with the glare of a spotless white SUV at the end of my drive, a woman with a fake smile sitting behind the wheel like she'd already decided everything she wanted was hers. One handshake and suddenly, everything my father built, every acre, every row of corn, every ounce of sweat was on the line. Just like that, my farm wasn't a home anymore, it was a war zone. See, I've lived my whole life in Iowa, 120 acres of cornfields and woods, the kind of place that gets under your fingernails that you'd fight tooth and nail to keep. My name's Jared Hall, and my dad passed me this land with the understanding that you don't back down from a bully, not ever. That was the one lesson he drilled into me harder than any other. I worked for every scrap, bought extra land, fenced it in, poured my money and my heart into this place. My farm isn't just property, it's my story. And I defend it like a soldier. Maybe that's the old National Guard in me talking. Maybe it's just being a farmer. Either way, if you want trouble, this is the spot you'll find it. Life out here is never quiet. Tractors clatter, coyotes bark, the grain dryer hums all night. But it's peaceful. Or it was until the day Karen James showed up. She climbed out of her SUV like she owned the county, wearing those sunglasses the size of satellite dishes and carrying a binder fat with paperwork. "Good morning," she says, that smile just painted on. "I'm Karen James, interim president of Springwood Acres HOA." She barely let me answer before telling me about their premium suburban lifestyle, how my farm, my home, was an eyesore next to their shiny new houses. I just leaned on my truck. Arms crossed, letter words hang in the air like the smell of diesel. An eyesore. "Lady, this farm feeds half the county." I told her flat out, "Not for sale. Not now, not ever." She pushed a map in front of me, pointed at the east slope by the creek, said it would make a perfect park. She tried to sound polite, but her voice had that snobby undertone. "Developments like ours bring change, Mr. Hall. People want peace and quiet, not tractors and fertilizer." I just laughed. "Karen, I was here first. This is my land. End of story." She didn't blink, just snapped her binder shut and said, "We'll see about that." That night I caught her SUV at the property line, headlights off, phone glowing. She was out there prowling. Didn't confront her, just watched. Figured if she wanted to waste her time, go right ahead. But something about her, like a cat with a grudge, made me uneasy. Wasn't long before the cops showed up. First time right after sunrise, 2 officers with sunglasses and stiff stances. "Mr. Hall, we got a call about illegal hunting shots fired at ducks." I just stared. "Haven't fired a gun all week. Don't even own a duck call." The younger cop looked like he wanted to disappear. "Just have to check," he muttered. "Complaint from Springwood Acres. I let them poke around. 10 minutes, nothing. No apology." Figured it'd end there. I was wrong. 3 days later, another patrol car, same driveway, different complaint, fertilizer fumes drifting into the new development. I laughed in their faces. Hadn't spread a drop of fertilizer. But they wrote something down, just doing their job. It became a routine. 2 weeks, the police came by like clockwork, noise complaints, weapons, aggressive behavior. The one about weapons really set my teeth on edge. I stood on my porch and asked if Karen had them on speed dial. By then I knew their names. Sergeant Barrero and Patrolman Del Rey. Barrero just shrugged. "We respond to calls." I told him, "Well, you tell your friend Karen this is harassment." Checked my security footage. Sure enough, her SUV always slid by before each complaint. I started writing everything down, dates, times, videos. If she wanted a fight, she had one. By the 10th patrol car, I'd had enough. Grabbed my keys, drove straight to the sheriff. Sheriff Tate, big guy, seen it all, listened while I dumped a folder on his desk. Logs, photos, every visit. All from Springwood Acres. "It's Karen. She's trying to force me off my land." He flipped through my evidence, looked at me hard, and said he'd look into it. "But Karen knows how to stir up trouble." I told him, "She's just another pest. I'm not letting her win." Stopped at the hardware store for more cameras. This wasn't just harassment. It was war. By dusk, Karen's SUV was back parked down the road. I took a photo, waved at her. Done being polite. Next morning, the gate was busted open. Padlock on the gravel tire tracks across the field, straight to my fertilizer shed. 2 sacks gone. Now it was theft. Called the sheriff, no more pleas. Showed the deputy the video, a tall guy in a hoodie and ball cap, silver pickup, couldn't see the plates. It's Karen or her goons, I said. He didn't argue, just suggested I hire private security if it kept up. And then the envelope came, county zoning department. Formal investigation, chemical runoff, manure storage noise, anonymous complaints. I called, all comes from one fax number, the clerk admitted quietly. I stapled that letter to my evidence and called the county agronomist, got a formal statement clearing my farm. Karen wanted a fight, so I gave her one. That afternoon, another patrol car, noise complaints. I pointed at the camera, told them, "You want proof? You'll see a whole night of crickets." Barrero didn't smile as much. I told him, "Keep it up, and you're the one under review." They left quick. That night I sat at my table and built a case. Every false complaint, every trespass, every phone record stacked up thick. Then came the break. Sheriff Tate called. Almost every complaint traced to Karen's number. Barrero and Del Rey suspended pending investigation. I could breathe again for a second. But Karen escalated. A courier dropped off forged documents, fancy seals, fake signatures, community inspection. I called the zoning guy, Lester. I never signed anything. Sent it all to the county prosecutor. He called me back. "Ready to testify?" I said, "You bet." The story hit the paper. Karen's name in bold. The next day her SUV was out front, her eyes shooting daggers through the windshield. I leaned on the fence. "If you cross this line, orange jumpsuit's the only park you'll see." She drove off, but I knew she wasn't done. Soon after subpoena arrived, Karen, Barrero, Del Rey, all under investigation. The courthouse looked the same as always, but it felt different walking in with a folder of evidence and Edna, my lawyer, leading the way. Judge Rollins, tough as nails, called it quick. Edna laid out everything: false reports, forged documents, video of cops at my gate at 2 a.m. Barrero tried to bluff Del Rey, just stared at his hands. Karen's attorney tried to spin it as community interest. Judge wasn't having any of it. "You want to argue, bring facts, not spin." Edna called me up. I told the story start to finish. Held up the forged notice, nailed to my gate, fake as a $3 bill. The judge's eyes narrowed. "Do you have proof of these police calls?" "Yes, ma'am. Logs, videos, everything. 10 visits in a month, all from Karen." Edna played the footage, cops cutting my lock at 2 a.m. "Judge ruled enough for criminal charges?" Karen's smile cracked. Barrero looked finished. Del Rey wanted to crawl away. The trial moved fast. Witnesses lined up, deputies, zoning officials, even one of Karen's friends confessed she'd pressured them to lie. Watching Karen's reputation burn was something else, like watching a silk scarf catch fire, slow then all at once. Verdict came: Karen James guilty on all counts, filing false reports, forgery, harassment, conspiracy. 9 years, no parole for 3, restitution to me for damages. Barrero stripped of his badge, sentenced to 6 years. Del Rey got probation and a lifetime ban from law enforcement. When the gavel dropped, I didn't cheer. Didn't even smile, just felt the world shift back into place. The HOA fell apart. No queen bee, just a row of empty houses with for sale signs and nobody in charge. I took my restitution money and made my farm tighter than a drum. Newgate's top-notch cameras, hired private security. A few days after the trial, I stood on the eastern slope land Karen tried to steal. Corn tall and green, cicadas buzzing, that sweet Iowa smell drifting on the breeze. For the first time in months, I felt peace. No flashing lights in the drive, no anonymous calls, no fake officials at my door. Just me and the land. The paper ran a story called "Me, the Man Who Beat Springwood." I didn't ask for fame, but seeing Karen's downfall in print was a good reminder standing your ground matters. A week later, Sheriff Tate stopped by for a beer. "Most would have folded," he said, "but you held the line." I raised my bottle. "Nobody's taking my dad's sweat or my future." Put up a new sign at the gate: private property, no trespassing. If you're here because Karen sent you, turn around now. Not just a joke, a warning: nobody messes with this land anymore. Some folks say fighting back's not worth it. But sometimes you have to. Sometimes it's not about pride or stubbornness. It's about knowing what you stand for and drawing that line in the dirt. The world's full of people who'll test you, who think rules are for everyone else. Maybe they've got money, maybe they've got power, but there's a point where enough is enough. So let me ask, where's your line? When do you decide it's time to stand up, even if you have to stand alone? Ever been bullied by someone with too much power and too little sense? drop a comment. Share your story. Let's hear where you stand when push comes to shove.